the truth about my divorce. Now, from the background, I've been hearing about this for a while. I didn't know it was over until like 2 days ago. So, oh boy. The divorce arc? Yep, that's right.
All right. It's time. Let's talk about the divorce. So I've been away for quite a while. Let me tell you why. At this point, the case is over. I've been trying to get this divorce settled. It was a lot longer process than I thought. Yeah. And I haven't talked about it in any official way up until this point. There's two different courts. There's the court of public opinion. No. That is Reddit, Twitter, like all those great and wonderful places. And then there's the court of law, where I believe that was the best place to spend most of my time and focus most of my efforts. After it was settled, then we could talk about it. We could dispel any rumors or any sort of questions people had. And that's who this video is for. It's for people who genuinely are curious about what happened. I have documents here in front of me. I'm gonna read them as they are. I'm gonna try my best to not have any of my opinions in here. Some of these things are a bit confusing for people who don't know lawyer speak. So I'm gonna do my best to explain these documents in a more casual should be good way. Now, right? So hopefully everyone can understand them. Keep things as plain as I can. This isn't to inflame the situation or cause any stress to anybody whatsoever. I just wanna speak the truth, finally. So I want to do my best to provide an accurate timeline of what happened. The divorce was filed by Milena in January of 2025. We had split up the previous year. It was amicable. We tweeted about it on Twitter. Everyone saw that. And the divorce ended up being officially filed by her in, like I said, January. I sent Milena a 50-50 offer down the middle in April of that year. She did not accept it. I did not know what she wanted out of this divorce until mediation.
Yeah, this is what made it take so long, is like Milena didn't want to take the 50-50, which is what was crazy. I don't know why that didn't happen.
Which was actually
I have no idea why.
And essentially what she wanted was the same thing she wanted in trial, and that's what we have here. I warned Milena that trial would be very expensive. It would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, but still we had to go to trial, and you'll see why. So bear with me now. We are going to go into some legal documents.
Oh boy.
What I have here is what they call Milena Midtoy-Palom's First Amendment disposition of issues. So this is essentially what she wanted. I'm going to read the document to the best of my ability because I can't read very well, but I'm going to explain things so everyone can kind of understand what she wanted and how it went down. Keep in mind, we each had this. This one's hers. This one's mine. We'll go over mine, but first let's do hers. Hers is a bit longer. The first thing she wanted, and by the way this works is it's essentially a line with like for a check mark and then the thing that they wanted. So the first thing that she wanted was to grant the divorce between the parties on the grounds of insupportability. This is very important, and I'm going to explain exactly what that means right now. In Texas, a divorce can be granted on the grounds of insupportability, which is the state's no-fault divorce ground. The Texas Family Code defines insupportability as a conflict or discord of personalities between the spouses that destroys legitimate ends of the marriage relationship and prevents any reasonable expectation of reconciliation. In practical terms, it means neither spouse has to prove wrongdoing. No evidence of adultery, cruelty, abandonment, or other fault is required. The court only needs to find that the marriage has become unworkable and that reconciliation is not reasonably expected.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty obvious. Obviously, it happens.
You can file divorce on other grounds, and I'll explain what those are. Cruelty. You can file for adultery, which didn't happen.
Cruelty.
Conviction of a felony, abandonment, living apart, etc. She filed on the grounds of insupportability. Next, award Milena Midtoy-Palom a disproportionate shares of the party's estate for the following reasons, including but not limited to. So she wanted more than 50-50. Respondent's economic and financial abuse of the petitioner, respondent's failure to permit access to the party's community property accounts, including for purposes of insight and access to such community funds, benefits the innocent spouse may have derived from continuation of the marriage, disparity of earning power of the spouses and their ability to support, earning power, business opportunities, capacities, and the ability.
Just because she can't make as much money doesn't mean that he should just be having to pay her. I feel like that's kind of unfair.
The spouses, nature of the property involved in the division, waste, and attorney's fees to be paid.
Oh my God.
So to explain that,
so she wants,
the judge, in order to grant Milena her disproportionate share, would have to find something that fits those sort of grounds. Any of those bullet points that I read off.
Yes.
Next, confirmation of Milena Midtoy's separate property as outlined in the attached spreadsheet, meaning that there's an attached spreadsheet here that has her own property in it. Makes sense. Next, order Milena Midtoy Palom's waste claim for Nicholas Michael Palom's excessive expenditures.
He's wasting your money.
$100,000 they had claimed against me. The next thing she wanted, and this is one of the reasons why we had to go to trial.
It's his money.
Order Milena Midtoy Palom's request for post-divorce maintenance for a period of 5 years from February 1st, 2026 in the amount of $5,000 a month. So she,
oh my God. What, $5,000 a month? That's like what? So that's $60,000 a year. A maintenance fee? Yeah, what is this, a car? It's a car you're not even driving anymore. The fuck's the point of that?
wanted me to pay her $5,000 a month for 5 years.
5 years.
We don't even have kids. Next, and this was the biggest one, the most important one, and it's going to take some time to explain it because this is also why we really had to go to trial. Order Milena Midtoy Palom be granted a judgment against Nicholas Michael Palom with specific language securing such entrance against the shares and stock held by Nicholas Michael Palom with his interests in OTK Ventures, OTK Media, and Kings Gaming Labs Incorporated. So
this was, oh my God. Oh my God. The amount of headaches this caused was fucking insane. Let me just say that. Jesus. Your fault. Wait, no, it has nothing to do with me. I didn't do this. I don't have anything to do with this.
This is essentially the crux of the entire trial. I mentioned earlier that Milena wanted a disproportionate share of the estate. She wanted a 60-40 split of the entire estate.
60-40, so she wanted most of it. Meanwhile, Nick was the one streaming every single day, and Milena would stream with Nick regularly. And Nick was even okay with giving her 50%. He was fine with that because he acknowledged that, but 60-40?
But it was a
Why
little
would
bit more
you do this?
complicated
I
than
did
that.
not do
What she
this.
wanted to do essentially was
not
have
my
her 60% be all cash and my 40% be heavily weighted in my OTK shares. She wanted about 90% of the cash reserves, plus she wanted me to pay her this post-divorce maintenance, and my 40% would be essentially all in my OTK shares, which...
And my understanding also is that she also wanted some of that too.
No one really knows what those are worth. This was the biggest point of contention in the trial for me. I don't think anyone would have accepted the offer that was presented.
Why did you do this? Shut
Essentially,
up!
It would drain me to 10% cash reserves, be in debt a whole bunch of money. So I would put a lot of trust in those OTK shares being worth something someday.
Surely.
That is just about half of the document. And I don't know if I should say this, but now it gets kind of funny, and I'm going to explain to you why. Up next is a section called income taxes.
I know a lot more about this than what's being shown in this video. Let me tell you that, as I said yesterday, whenever I watched the little small cut down of this is not the tip of the iceberg. This is the seagull that is perched on the tip of the iceberg. Okay? Oh my God. Trauma.
Let me read this for you. Order that any refunds received from the date of marriage through the date of divorce be divided equally by the parties, with Milena Midtoy being entitled to 50% and Nicholas Michael Palom being entitled to 50%. So if there was a tax refund, she would get half of it, I would get half of it.
Taxed.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Order any liability from the date of marriage to the date of divorce be paid solely by Nicholas Palom.
So he has to pay for...
If there was a tax bill, I would have to pay for all of the taxes.
So he has to pay all of the taxes, but she gets half of the refund. Right. Of course.
But if there's a refund, Milena would get half of it.
Yeah. This is good.
Order that the parties file separate tax returns and partitions as January 1st, 2026, and each party be liable for their own respective taxes for 2026 and each awarded respective returns for 2026. Makes sense to me. Up next, injunctions. And this is where it gets a little bit confusing. I'll try my best to explain it for everyone. Order Nicholas Michael Palom be restrained and enjoined from making any public statements, whether written, verbal, or visual,
Well, that one didn't happen.
regarding the ongoing litigation and the parties' divorce, unless mutually agreed upon in writing by the parties and filed within the court.
Yeah.
So that essentially says that me, and you notice her name's not there, but me and me alone can't talk about it.
But she
And then
could,
the next line
theoretically.
is, strictly in the event the court does not grant the requested permanent injunction, Milena Midtoy-Palom requests the court, after trial on the merits, to grant the following permanent injunctions enjoining the parties, their agents, servants, employees, and attorneys. So pretty much everyone involved this is the following injunction. Directly or indirectly disseminating, publishing, or causing to be published, or directly or indirectly requesting a person disseminating or publishing any letter, story, statement, correspondence.
Basically, you can't talk about it. That's pretty much what she wanted to have happen. She wanted to try to finesse him out of a ton of this money, and then nobody could talk about it or bring it up or say anything. Is a gag order? Yes, basically.
Description or depiction of any kind whatsoever,
But she could
including
talk
on
about
any
it. Yes,
social
but she
media,
could talk
whether
about it.
fictionalized or not, which is or could be reasonably interpreted to be disparaging, negative, or defamatory in its description of the other party's personal, professional, private, or family life, including without limitation the business or the financial affairs of the other party. So
tell us
essentially,
more?
anyone involved
can.
with me whatsoever could not talk about this divorce.
Yeah.
Spoiler: that did not get granted because obviously we're talking about it now. I'll explain why.
I knew this was happening, and this is the reason why I never made any comments about it until all of this was over. It's because I didn't want to complicate it or add throw a wrench into the system, right? And make anything like that happen. That's why I never said anything about this.
That didn't get granted because essentially that's an infringement on my First Amendment right to the Constitution of the United States of America, which is freedom of speech. Milena Midtoy-Palom requests the court order Nicholas Michael Palom to pay reasonable attorney's fees, expenses, and costs through trial, and appeal,
So he has
and
to pay
a
for
judgment
everything.
should be rendered.
So he has to pay all the taxes, he has to pay all the fees, he has to give her all the cash, and he also has to pay her for 5 years. And what does she have to do? Oh, nothing? Oh, okay. Right. Of course.
favor of Milena Midtoy-Palom against Nicholas Michael Palom and be ordered to pay directly to Milena Midtoy-Palom. Milena Midtoy-Palom request post-judgment interest as allowed by law.
No, they didn't have a kid.
Also, it says Milena Midtoy-Palom requests the court deny any and all of Nicholas Palom's requested relief filed with the court. So that's a lot. I'll explain quickly what she wanted. She wanted a 60-40 split because of her reasons listed. She wanted me to pay her $5,000 a month for 5 years. She wanted the majority of my part of the split to be locked up in my OTK shares. She wanted me not to be able to talk about the case whatsoever. She wanted the
because here's the other thing too is that it obviously, like, the divorce and everything definitely made Nick look bad. Like, it 100% made Nick look bad, and people had, like, because obviously some of this stuff was made public prior to this, and he couldn't make any comments on it. And people had come to conclusions that were wrong, basically. I mean, just literally wrong conclusions. And in the process of that, it made him look bad, and it made Milena look good. And so she wanted to set it up to where he could never correct the record, which is crazy, especially as somebody who is a public figure, right? Insane to even say that.
Taxes. She also wanted me to pay her lawyer fees. So what did I want? Let's get into it. It's not going to be as long as what she wanted, so we'll keep it plain as possible. I'll read it as is, just like I did with hers. Number 1, grounds of divorce. Nicholas Michael Palom requests that the court be granted a divorce on the grounds of insupportability.
So
there's that word again, insupportability. This is the only thing that we agreed upon in the entire case, which is good. It really is. Next. Division of community property. Nicholas Michael Palom requests that the court divide the community estate in a manner that the court deems just in right as provided by law and set out in Exhibit A attached hereto. So Exhibit A is essentially an exhibit with spreadsheets, and it ends up being a 50-50 split down the middle. Stocks, shares, cash, everything. Next, separate property. Nicholas Michael Palom requests that the court confirm and assign his separate property to Nicholas Michael Palom as set out in Exhibit A. Attached.
Were these the Pokemon
so my stuff
cards?
is my stuff. Milena also had her stuff. Her stuff is her stuff, which makes sense to me. Next, waste and reconstitution. Nicholas Michael Palom requests the court to find that Milena Midtoy-Palom has committed waste on the community and to reconstitute what ought be the actual existing value of the estate as a part of the court's just and right division of the community estate as set out in Exhibit A attached here too. So just the waste claim, essentially she had one against me, so I had one against her. I'm not trying to get into the gritty details of that.
Yeah,
Next,
I actually
attorney's
don't know about
fees.
that.
Order Milena Midtoy Palom pay a portion of Nicholas Michael Palom's attorney fees, expenses, and costs, rendering a judgment against Milena Midtoy Palom in favor of Kirker Davis LLP, attorneys for Nicholas Michael Palom, and order Milena Midtoy Palom to pay such a judgment directly to Stephen W. Payne and Kirker Davis LLP, who
That's like
may
a legal firm.
enforce the judgment in attorney's own name with post-judgment interest as allowed by law.
What is
Attorney's
waste in
fees.
this context?
Then
You didn't
my last thing
elaborate.
that I asked for, request for Milena Midtoy Palom. Nicholas Michael Palom requests that all relief requested by Milena Midtoy Palom be denied. So essentially what I'm asking for
That's
in
just-
this is a clean
you don't have to give her money.
50-50 split down the middle, just like I wanted back in April and March of 2025. What we have here is the court's ruling. This is what everyone's been waiting for, so let's just go ahead and get right into it.
All right.
Dear counsel, from January 12th, 2026 to January 13th, 2026, the court presided over this case and took it under advisement. The ruling of the court is as follows. Divorce is granted on the grounds of insupportability. It's good.
Done.
That's what I wanted. That's what Milena wanted. It's a no-fault divorce. Next, division of community property. 50% to Mr. Palom and 50% to Miss Palom, with the exception of King's Gaming Lab, Starforge.
Yes.
Ordered to be split 55% to Miss Palom and 45% to Mr. Palom. The court finds that the disproportionate share of those funds are warranted due, number one, the disparity of the earning power, number two, nature of the property involved, and three, waste. So let me explain, before everyone gets all excited, what
I think that was complete bullshit, by the way. Milena didn't have anything to do with Starforge. She didn't have anything to do with him. And how's she getting 55% of his stocks? Which is very odd. Like, I mean, how many videos was Nick in for Starforge? How many videos was Milena in for Starforge? I mean, it's outrageous. Like, really, it's crazy.
that means. I have a very small ownership in Starforge. She gets 5% more than I do. And if you do the math, it ends up being about 15K. If you remember during Milena's disposition of issues, she had asked for a 60-40 split because of things like economic and financial abuse of the petitioner. She did not get that. The community estate was essentially just 50-50 split down the middle. With
My understanding is, like, I guess I can reveal this. Nick told me that, like, she had access to all their accounts the whole time during the divorce. Like, so, like, not only is this not true, but it wasn't even true during the divorce. So, like, I don't even know the fuck. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm misunderstanding it, or I don't remember exactly the way that Nick said it. But like that was my understanding. So like that's not even true. And also, like, she wasn't doing anything really bad. Like, I mean, I don't hate Milena. She's a nice girl, right? I mean, I honestly, I think the whole thing is just really sad. You know, they were together for like 10, 11 years. To have them get divorced is really sad to see that happen. But all that being said, you know, I think it's a little bit outrageous that she would get 55% of his Starforge equity. Like, what the fuck?
exception of Starforge, which is about a $15,000 extra towards Milena. And it makes sense to me. I will probably earn more than her going forward, and that seems pretty fair to me. Up next, and this is
Whose
very,
fault
very,
is
very
that?
important because it has to do with my shares. Nick and NNP LOL are designated as constructive trustee for Miss Palom's interest. So what that means, I don't have to send her my shares. I don't have to send her cash for the shares. I will hold her shares in my name until they're sold, if and when they're sold. So that was a big deal for
GRP.
me.
I don't
Doesn't
know.
put me in generational debt, and you know, if they sell, they sell. Up next, attorney's fees denied. Each party pays their own attorney's fees. Motion to seal the court records denied. Injunctions denied. Post-divorce maintenance denied.
Well, the problem is that they already, they tried to seal the court records prior to this, but they got out, and the narrative was against Nick, and so I guess then they wanted to seal it to begin with, and then after, right? So then he could never correct the record.
That means me not being able to talk about the case was denied, and the $5,000 a month for 5 years that Milena wanted was also denied. She did not get that. Each party is to keep credit card in its debt in their own name. Each party to keep household furnishings in their possession. So all this stuff in this house is mine. All the stuff in hers is hers. Each party to keep their jewelry and personal items. So for example, that necklace that I wore, I get to keep. Pokemon card collection to be divided equally.
Welcome to millennial divorces. That's right. Welcome to millennial divorce. Yep, he had to cut every card in half and give half of it to Melina.
Mr. and Mrs. Pollum to each keep their own online skins. Magic the Gathering card collection to be divided equally. The Super 73 bike is awarded to Miss Pollum. Each party to keep ownership of their own social media accounts. 2023
Not
Cadillac
the Magic
Escalade is
the
awarded to
Gathering
Miss
cards.
Pollum. 2021 Nissan GTR is awarded to me.
Wait, she got the Escalade? Oh, shit. Damn.
So that was the court's ruling. To summarize,
You got the
it was
GTR?
essentially
Yeah.
the same exact offer that I had offered her back in March and April of 2025, with the exception of the extra 15K.
That was a
this
nice car.
court case lasted well over a year. It cost over $400,000 in lawyer fees, expert fees, and in my opinion, most of it was unnecessary. But I
I said
had
this
to
yesterday, I'll say it again. It cost actually millions of dollars because of all the lost revenue. Like, this massively damaged Nick's career. He wasn't able to work for an entire year. And now that he is able to work again, like, he's working on the back foot after, you know, the partial leaks of this information was framing him in a negative light. So really, you're not even thinking about, like, if you're only talking about the fees, you're not thinking about the opportunity cost of the time. And also, like, I mean, let's be real, right? Emotional damage too. So yeah, it was completely unnecessary. Can't he sue her for all that lost income? No, he can't. We talked about that before. And so no, that's not going to happen.
go. I had no choice. If I was to continue to stream through everything, people would have been harassing me about it the entire time.
And she
like
also would have gotten half of all the money that of during the streams, and that was another reason why I didn't want to do it.
did when I first started. And I do believe that me not streaming was the quickest way to come to a conclusion with this divorce. So there was a lot of...
Remember, gentlemen, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Man. Be careful, fellas. How did he scorn her? If he's not, like, I know some of the things that happened. Like, I'm not going to reveal any of that if he's not going to reveal any of that. But I will tell you that none of it is particularly scandalous or exciting. The highest on a scale of exciting would be like maybe a 6.
rumors and things that kind of spawned from this case because documents were leaked and people made up their own theories
only
and
a
ran
6.
with them. I could sit here and diffuse all of them. It'd be pretty easy because none of them were true. But honestly, I got the ruling that I wanted, and I'm not going to do that. I might mention them on the podcast with Chance where we can do it in a less informal environment. But that's essentially kind of what happened. That's the story. That's where I've been. You know, it really just sucked that things ended up this way.
Well, yeah, of course he's going to marry Catchy after this. I mean, he's got the other half of his stuff left. So what's he going to do with that? He probably might as well just go give that to her too. Sure, yeah, I think that's just what makes sense. Yeah, that way he can lose everything.
With me and Milena, we spent well over 10 years together. It just ended up being that way. It's the road that we had to walk, and it's over. There was a whole bunch of different dramas and things that happened behind the scenes that people would find really interesting, but I'm not trying to throw any shade at anybody or at this point. If I don't have to talk about that, I won't. Speaking for me emotionally, this whole thing has been quite stressful. There's been so many things said about me that just aren't true. It was somewhat exhausting, and once I got this ruling, I literally broke down and cried. Like I was like sobbing tears, you know.
I remember I've been asking Nick for like the last year. I was like, when's it going to be over? He's like, it's about to be over. And this was like, you know, like 8 months ago, right? Oh, it's about to be over. We just need to do one more thing. And then it's like, well, wait, it's not over. Well, no, they want to, there's like a reevaluation that needs to be done. Or, you know, well, they have to, they're trying to see how much my Pokemon cards are worth or something else, right? Like, it was just insane how long this took. It is like, this is the true fucking, this is the quintessential, the process is the punishment. If this happened to you, how would you have reacted during all this? I think that something like this is so personal and so unique to the individual and the situation that I can't really say how I would react. If I would try to get through it, I would probably react the way that XQC did, where you just try to stream through it, ignore everything, and just keep going. That's probably, like, in my mind, that's what I would do, because I wouldn't want to take time off, but always get a prenup. Again, that's it. It's not as simple as you would imagine, right? But like Nick tried to do that for a while, and then there were other problems that created, and then there were compounding issues with that were like triple and like quadruple faceted issues that created. And so especially, and I don't want to overshare, and so like just I will leave it at that, right? But yeah,
It's finally over. This actually happened back in January when we finally got the ruling. But, you know, lawyer stuff, it took until last month for it to actually be over. I wish Milena and her family the best. I have no ill will towards them. Hopefully things go well for them, and I'm just ready to get back to work. I want to give this another try, see if I can still do it. So that's the summary.
Yeah.
Again, if you have any questions, you know where to find me.
Incredible.
Thanks for watching, and fuck you. There's only one winner when it comes to divorce court.
It's
the
legal
lawyers.
teams.
Because they're walking away with $400,000 of
yeah.
me and Melena's money, and they could not give two fucks about us. All right.
Well, there it is. And True Omegle, I guess so. I have no business knowing any of this, but thank you for sharing. Trust me, this video could have been a 1 hour and 17-minute video, not 17-minute video. I'll link it to you guys. I mean, I've known Nick, I've said before, right? I've known Nick for, I don't know, like 10 years now, right? Like, I've also known Milena for the same amount of time. I think that ultimately it's really sad. I mean, like, I think that, again, it's kind of unfair. Like, divorces, I mean, there's a lot of facets to it. I don't want to send hate to anybody. I think that some of the things and demands that she made were very unreasonable. But ultimately, you know, like, I can't really know that more than she can. So that's really it. Milena wasted cut for $100,000 pushing for more. Yeah, but I mean, also, again, like, I mean, I think the process is the punishment. And like, I mean, she was pretty, I probably can just say this, right? I mean, she was pretty bitter towards it, right? And she was very angry about it for a multitude of reasons. There was like 3 or 4 different reasons why, like, you know, like meta level reasons. So yeah, lawyers are the real winners here. Yeah, definitely. Dude lost half of his Pokemon cards. That's brutal, bro. And half of his Magic cards. Thank God Catchy did not get split in half. He gets to keep the GTR. Let's go, boys. The real split is 10% Nick, 10% Milena, and 80% lawyers. Yes, true. And basically, Milena being greedy cost them both 1 year of bullshit and $20,000 extra. Way more than that, $200,000. Yes, monetize it, get the money back. Yeah, I'm sure he's going to get, you know, 5% of that. But, like, yeah, that's it. And did he lose half of his Legos? Good question, right? I'm not sure. And so, yeah, it's just insane. And yeah, way more. Exactly. Lawyers gassed her up. Well, I don't really know exactly like what all happened or anything, but you know, like I'm not really sure about all the details. Like I haven't talked to Milena since before they got the divorce, right? I mean, like, and I never had a bad experience. Like, for example, like Tectone, I remember didn't like he never got along with Milena. Like, I don't remember like any problem. Like, I don't, you guys know me, right? I don't have problems with people. I just don't. I don't have problems with people. And Milena was no different, right? I just never had problems with Milena ever either. So it was not really a big deal. So yeah, she hated him, and now we can see why. Well, no, you actually can't. But yeah, the most serious mature I've ever seen Nick. Growth, he had to be, right? And spending $400K to extract $15K from your ex. What a shrewd businesswoman. I know. Spends $400K to make $15,000 in stocks. Yeah, and rule 1, don't get greedy. Oh man. And I wish Milena well, bro, be a better man than me. He has to say that. He has to say that for a legal reason, right? He probably had to run this entire thing through his lawyers and do all that, right? And so that's really it. So that's the video, and I wish him all the best, and I hope that he's doing well and everything. But yeah, a year off of your career, literally millions of dollars, like hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on like legal fees. I mean, Jesus Christ, that's really bad, right? I mean, like, oh my God, I couldn't even imagine that. So, yeah, as finished, I hate Milena. I don't hate Milena. I don't have any ill will towards her. I'm just glad this is over. I'm glad this is over, and both of them can move past it, and hopefully can improve their lives and just kind of not have to deal with it anymore and have to deal with each other, right? It sucks, it's sad, and that's really about it. I don't want to have any sort of real negativity, but, like, I do think that some of the demands were unreasonable, which I think is very fair to say that, sure. But that's the way I feel about it.